A young woman in Maine turned in a rough draft of a college persuasive essay arguing against red flag laws. The professor responded with a mini essay of her own, berating the student for her beliefs, her religion, and suggesting that if she did not pick a different topic, she would fail the assignment. Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel with a story that honestly does not surprise me one bit, but has a lot of people up in arms, no pun intended. 20-year-old Catherine Parker attends Eastern Maine Community College and is taking a Gen Ed required English class. That class is being taught by department head Carol Lewandowski, and as an aside, Parker's mother just so happens to be the president of Gun Owners Maine. The assignment was for Parker to pick an editorial out of a local paper and write a persuasive essay in response. Parker chose a column by Douglas Rooks, published in the Portland Press Herald, entitled "Maine Legislature Derelict in Its Duty on Red Flag." Published in June, Rooks argued that the Maine legislature's decision not to hold a hearing on a proposed red flag law was wrong, but also spoke in favor of red flag laws. According to Rooks, Maine's yellow flag laws are too focused on the mental health of possible dangerous individuals rather than their firearms. He said that it stigmatizes those with mental health issues while doing nothing to stop dangerous individuals who own firearms, despite about half of Maine households owning guns. Parker agreed that a hearing on the proposed red flag should have been held, as it is supposed to be on the ballot in November, and it is part of due process and legislative process to have hearings about bills so people can discuss them. But she argued that red flag laws are unconstitutional and do nothing to serve those with mental health issues. And in that, she is correct. As I have talked about on the channel several times before, just about every state has tariff-off laws, which are a duty to warn and duty to protect. If someone seems to be a danger to themselves or others, mandated reporters are required by law to either escort that person to a hospital for a mental health evaluation themselves, if they are a community-based flexible support worker or in-home social worker or something like that, or file paperwork with the police for the police to escort that person to the hospital for the evaluation. If they are in fact deemed a danger, they are admitted and then considered a prohibited person. Red flags, however, only serve to take the firearms away from the alleged dangerous individual without due process and does nothing to help them get mental health treatment if that's what they need. Now, today's video is not about red flag laws in and of themselves. I have done many a video talking about that, but since we are here on this topic, I would like to talk to you today about today's sponsor, and that is Attorneys on Retainer. Now, if you ever find yourself in a self-defense incident, you do not want to have to face it alone, and you don't want to have to face red flag law hits on your own. Now, the folks in the Attorneys on Retainer, brought to you by the Attorneys for Freedom, are actual attorneys whose entire job it is to give you legal advice and represent you if you use your gun in self-defense. Now, they are not an insurance company, so their only requirements are that the incident happened after you signed up and that you reasonably acted within good faith. They are not there to protect their own butts with fine print or liability, and you are not sent through an insurance adjuster before a lawyer even looks at your case, which is what typically happens with insurance companies. They also cover everything from felonies to misdemeanors, appeals, and even bail bonds, and now they also cover red flag hits. So heaven forbid if you ever find yourself in that situation and you are an AOR member, you can call them up and get them working on your case right away. So switch on over from your existing self-defense coverage by heading on over to my link down in the description, and you can use code LIBERTYDOLL to get $50 off your individual sign-up fee. Now, back to Miss Parker here. Parker argued that it is the mental health system that is broken, not gun laws, and of course I am inclined to agree with that. And she also said that a red flag law does not stop someone from finding other ways to hurt themselves or others. Also correct. If you have been a viewer of this channel for a long time, you know that I have said this multiple times myself as a now retired mental health therapist. I did my entire grad school full-time internship with the Department of Mental Health. Let me tell you, if people are really that hell-bent on hurting themselves or someone else, they will find a way, regardless of any sort of red flag that you might throw at them. Anyway, Parker submitted her rough draft for feedback. At first, Lewandowski pointed out that Parker failed to cite her sources on some stats, which, okay, valid. But the professor went further than pointing out issues in craft or assignment requirements. She went on to bully the student for her beliefs, including demanding to know if she thought Jesus packed heat. Lewandowski said that the essay was riddled with logical fallacies and purposefully misinterpreted the intentions of legalities as well as the Second Amendment. Now, ironically, the professor, who clearly spent her response trying to change the student's mind, told Parker that she needed to stop proselytizing with logical fallacies in a college class. She went on, "Wasn't your former speech a testimony to finding Jesus? Did Jesus pack heat? I find this Second Amendment nonsense exhausting and highly recommend you choose a different topic, since this is not one I can easily grade, given my own disdain for the misinterpretations of the Second Amendment. Hate to tell you, but guns do kill. Just ask the victims of the 200 shootings this year." And then she went on to list several mass casualty events. With a few grammatical errors, I'll add, but that is besides the point. She ended her feedback with a note that you clearly do not care about people as much as you care about guns. Your argument is a solid representation of that. She urged Parker to again pick a different topic and signed off, "Think again about Jesus packing heat. Really, you and your ilk drive me nuts with your hypocrisy. Guns kill. Own it." Now everyone is entitled to their opinion, yada yada First Amendment, and I am not at all surprised that this is the opinion of a professor, especially one at a community college, even in Maine. But the response is also very unprofessional and insulted the student and her character, especially from a position of relative power. Parker called her mom, wondering if being upset over this was an overreaction, but after being assured by her mother that no, the response was in fact rude, she wrote back that she wouldn't be changing her topic. The professor then wrote back that she would not be able to grade Parker's essay because the topic was too triggering for her, and asking Parker to be fair to her professor. She then told Parker to take up the problem with the department chair and dean of students. Now, according to Parker, the professor did not tell the students that any topics were off limits at the start of the assignment. Parker had a meeting with the dean and was told essentially that Lewandowski, who receives a salary of $119,000 from the school plus an additional $44,000 in benefits, would not face any repercussions for bullying Parker. She said that the dean said that discrimination was not tolerated at the school, which suggests that the dean thought this might be discrimination, and she even apologized. But the dean still told Parker that she and the school needed to look at both sides of the issue, and left it at that. Now, the NRA has also issued a statement on the matter, saying that Parker's First Amendment rights are being infringed. It is not yet clear if Parker is going to be forced to choose a different topic or risk failing the assignment due to her beliefs. If nothing else, there should be a way, rubric or otherwise, for a professor to objectively grade an assignment. Did the student use data to back up their opinion? Did they cite that data using proper MLA format? Or did they solely rely on anecdotes and personal experience? Did they follow typical essay structure? These are all questions that could be in a rubric and could be judged at least somewhat objectively. You cannot tell me that this professor, who has been at that school for 30 years, has never come across another essay that she didn't agree with. I wonder, though, if she was just as rude to those students as she was to this one. Now, I don't know what other recourse Parker might have, or if she would even deign to go that far, but if nothing else, this is yet another story of higher education's complete disdain for free speech. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for this video. Please like, share, and subscribe if you are new here. Ring that notification bell and drop a comment down below for the algorithm. And as always, thanks for tuning in. Stay safe out there and happy shooting.